Hey, what's going on, everybody? Max here with BB, and today we are going to be talking about why I am still crazy bullish on Bitcoin and crazy bullish on crypto. I know the market's been chopping for a little bit. I know people are a little bit concerned. In my opinion, this is more of a time-based capitulation than a price-based one, which is totally normal and healthy. But I have a lot of charts and data to back up. Before we get into the charts, if you could do me a solid and please like and subscribe, that would be absolutely fantastic and very helpful. We're growing so quickly, and it's all thanks to your guys' consistent support of what we are building here. So here's Bitcoin. I have a lot of charts I'm going to share today. So I saved some in advance just because I don't want this to be like an hour-long video. We're going to try to keep it as close to 10 minutes as possible. I promise we will go over. We always do. But all right, let's throw on the halvings first. Okay. In the simplest of terms, right? You look at this chart, you go, okay, all right. Every time there's a Bitcoin halving, typically what happens, right? Price just again, we're going to add on a lot more beautiful drawings here, but just real simple. We've got 4 lines here on the chart. What happens historically after every single halving? Just goes up, right? And you can argue, why it does. Maybe it's coincidence in your opinion. Maybe, there's something else. In my opinion, it's really it's econ 101, right? It's just basic economics. It's supply and demand mechanics. On any given day, the largest potential seller of Bitcoin is Bitcoin miners, Bitcoin mining companies, the mining industry. They need to, mine Bitcoin, which is very expensive to do, and then they need to unload some of that in order to subsidize their business expenses. They have payroll, they have rent on warehouses, they have, electrical costs. It's a plethora. It's a very expensive industry to operate in. And again, miners on any given day have the potential to be the largest seller. So what happens if, demand remains constant, same as over here, but supply or available new supply gets cut in half one day to the next? Well, Econ 101, supply and demand. But we don't need to dive too much further into that. What I want to do now is I want to add on a couple more charts. And again, I have like 10 more charts. So bear with me, guys. Okay. Bear with me. Let's put on these fibs. So these are time-based fibs. Okay. So I have the halvings down below, as you can see. And I know my image is in the way, but you can see the black lines here are the Bitcoin halvings. Okay. Now, how did I draw these, right? So what I did is I have basically the one fib right here, all right? And then I have the 0.25, the 0.5, the 0.75, and then the 1, all right? And that's the same across all 3 of these, okay, that I have drawn. Well, technically there's 4, but you know what I mean. So you guys know that I lean into fibs a lot, especially on the higher time frame. But what's the pattern that we see right here? Well, going back to the first one, all right, the first Bitcoin halving, what do we see here? Well, what we see is we slow grind up into the halving. The halving occurs, and then between our 1 fib and our 0.25, it's this gray box. Looks pretty good. Price moves up. And we actually end up putting in, another really aggressive high between the 0.25 and the 0.5, which in this case, after the halving is about 400 days roughly. So over a year. Okay. So again, blue box, slow grind up into the halving, gray box, post halving expansion, and then global top or bull market top sometime between the 0.25. And then when do you buy? You go through a bear market and you buy between the 0.5 and the 0.75, which is this green area. Let's go to the next one. Same thing, right? You buy here in the 0. In this green area between the 0.5 and 0.75 of the previous cycle. Blue box, we grind up into the next halving, which is the second Bitcoin halving marked right here. And then we have our gray box. So again, post halving expansion. And then look at that. Where do we top again? Right in this red area, same as the first cycle between the 0.25 and the 0.5. And then where do you buy? Next bear market between the 0.5 and the 0.75. What happens next? Slow grind up. This was very choppy, right? But slow grind up into a Bitcoin halving, gray area, third Bitcoin halving, you get, post halving expansion. And look at that global top, 69K, right between the 0.25 and the 0.5, same as the other cycle. So where are we at right now? In my opinion, unless this time is materially different, and oh, I forgot this. Where did we buy? You want to buy between the zero point 0.5 and the 0.75. All right. So again, it's called tops, it's called bottoms for over a decade, these time-based fibs. All right. And I believe a lot of it has to do with the Bitcoin halvings because all of my fibs are drawn dependent on, the start of my fibs are the Bitcoin halving, the end is the next Bitcoin halving. Okay. So where are we at right now? We, slow grind up. It didn't feel slow while we were in it, but it was technically a slow grind up into a Bitcoin halving. I think we're about to get the gray area, which would take us basically all through this year and 2025. And there will be pullbacks along the way, no question. But going into this gray area, which is post halving expansion, which again we've seen, every cycle so far, post halving expansion, gray boxes right after every single halving. And then, looking for, potentially a global top, somewhere in 2025. It could be as early as April of 2025. I suppose it could be as late as April 2026. I don't think it'll be that late, truthfully, but anything can happen. We could also see a scenario where, we put in like an early peak here and then have a big correction and then go on to put in, a top like that. We could have some sort of 2013 style, where you put in a major top and then another one. So, anyways, I think that things look really solid. From this perspective, from a time based perspective, I still think that things look really good. All right, let's keep moving. Something I've focused on tremendously is Bitcoin adjusted for different metrics. Okay. And this right here is Bitcoin adjusted for the M1 money supply. I don't have a ton of time in this video, so just Google what M1 is. But it's a metric to, adjust for Bitcoin's potential. Well, think of it as like as they increase the money supply, you should potentially adjust Bitcoin to make sure that it's actually not just appreciating against the US dollar, but actually appreciating for the dilution of the money supply and the overall quantity of money that's out there. So we're going to throw on Bitcoin down below here and add this on. This is a very interesting chart. I haven't posted about it too much recently on Twitter, but we are covering it here today in this update. So this is good too. So let me put it in log. And then what I'll do is I will move it up here. We'll drag it down. So here's Bitcoin right down here. I think I accidentally made this a different color. We'll just do this. So here's Bitcoin, and then here's Bitcoin adjusted for the M1 money stock or money supply. Okay. So what you'll notice about this chart here, which is very interesting, is that it's actually been in a range going all the way back to the bottom of the bear market in 2018. So let's mark out some tops here. So Bitcoin bottomed, right as Bitcoin divided by the M1 money supply, did in fact put in some sort of bottom, or started its range low. So we'll mark that in green. It also put in its top in June of 2019 at this range high. Now, what happened here? COVID crash. We tagged the range low. Now, granted, there was a deviation, but this tagged perfectly. So called the COVID bottom. The 64K first top of last cycle, look, it called it perfectly, hit the range high again, same as where we topped out in June of 2019. The 69K top, it also called it perfectly. The capitulatory FTX bottom, it called it perfectly. So there's something here, guys. Like, this is not coincidence that it's called, three major tops and three major bottoms. And where are we at right now? Well, we've broken out of this. We have certainly broken out of this range so far. And again, I don't think that this should be I don't think that this should be overlooked. I don't think that this should be ignored. And in my opinion, this is, a range breakout after 5 years, 6 years of, ranging here and calling tops and bottoms. I do believe that Bitcoin divided by the M1 money supply is now poised for, a sustained breakout as we've moved above this range high and we're now chop solidating above. I think we will eventually, commence our next leg up. And you will see Bitcoin, of course, do something like this, and move up aggressively. And then, this Bitcoin M1 chart will move up aggressively as well. But again, it's not coincidence or conspiracy that, Bitcoin denominated in M1 money stock is, it's called three major tops to the penny, three major bottoms to the penny, and we just broke out of it. I think it's certainly worth keeping an eye on. It's very, very interesting. Bitcoin is also, too intertwined with legacy at this point, to just look at Bitcoin. You need to look at Bitcoin miner stocks. You need to look at Coinbase stock. You need to look at MicroStrategy. You need to look at the ETFs. You need to denominate Bitcoin in things like M1, like we did here. You need to denominate it in, the euro and other, foreign currencies. Um, but there's been a lot of focus on MSTR recently, and I think that MSTR looks pretty good in my opinion. Like, I mean, this is a big correction, right, from this high. It actually went down 43%. Um, but in my opinion, as long as you maintain above, this complacency shoulder for MSTR, this region, like you don't want to really see it get, back into or underneath kind of like this region. This to me looks like a healthy retest. And again, there's been sort of a lead and a lag to, MicroStrategy stock and also, a lot of Bitcoin miners as well. So, looking at the MicroStrategy stock, I think it looks like a really healthy retest right here. And, maybe we could do something like this, and then, slowly curl up. But I would expect this as well. Similarly to you're looking at the M1 money supply, like we're coming back to retest a breakout spot. In my opinion, MSTR is also coming back to, retest this breakout spot. So I think that it looks good. And if we want to even just move over to like some Bitcoin miner companies, we could look at like CLSK, which has been, a leader so far. And in my opinion, the CLSK chart, looks really good. This is a top Bitcoin mining company. They're doing some really great things. And in my opinion, like this is a really, really hot level right here. In my opinion, this to me looks like your deep value area. So your bear market despair region. I guess we can make that red for bear market despair. um, kind of similarly to, even last cycle, right? Like we had this kind of same maneuver, during last bear market down here. And, I can add Bitcoin right here if we want to take a look at it. And you can see, really when did MSTR begin to, or I'm sorry, CLSK really begin to perk up last cycle? Um, Here, I'll do what I do here. I like to add it onto the same chart. It just gives me a little bit more room to work with. But here's CLSK, and then Bitcoin is down below here. When did CLSK really begin to, outperform? Well, this was the previous Bitcoin all-time high. All right. And then here's the previous Bitcoin all-time high. So MSTR began to really, shine and outperform, more or less where we are right now. I don't like that color. Let's put it in blue. Right. So you can see that, MSTR went crazy when Bitcoin finally broke through its previous cycle all-time high. And again, I think that in my opinion, it looks like we broke out. We're just kind of holding and consolidating and waiting for Bitcoin to make that move. But I would expect MSTR. I'm sorry, I keep saying MSTR. I would expect CLSK and I guess MSTR, to do something like this. Like I think that, both of these look really good. I think Bitcoin looks good here. It's just cooling off. And I think that Bitcoin miners look really good. And I think that MSTR looks really good. And I think that this breakout on, the M1 money supply chart looks really good. One more thing. I know I'm just dumping charts on you guys. But it's a Friday, right? These videos are usually slower on Thursday, Friday anyway. So the lucky few that get to watch, they get to see all the charts. All right. This is very interesting as well. This is actually Bitcoin denominated in Nvidia, which I can't take credit for this. Actually, this was first presented to me by Jackus, one of our teammates and analysts at Because Bitcoin. But he noted that, what do we see is that Bitcoin divided by Nvidia. What this means is that when the chart is moving down like this, Nvidia is a better hold than Bitcoin. When the chart is moving up, Bitcoin's a better hold than Nvidia. And obviously, Nvidia, being in the industry that they're in, is, I mean, they're kind of intertwined in like every industry now because they're kind of like becoming one of the backbones of big tech, if not already there. But it's cool to see like, when Nvidia will pump and then, Bitcoin will kind of pump after, right? Is what we've seen. So actually, let me throw Nvidia up down below. Nvidia. I haven't done this before, so we're just doing this live. Um, Here's Nvidia, and we'll put Nvidia in green. All right, and we'll put this down below as well. Oops. All right, there's Nvidia. So you can see like the lead and the lag here where, Nvidia, and I can't even put it in linear mode because it just looks like that, right? I have to put it in log mode. But you can see like pretty clearly that in like while Bitcoin is still, in its bear market, um, right here, you can see that during that time, Nvidia actually starts its push upwards, its aggressive ascent upwards. Okay. And similar, I mean, Bitcoin had a weird 2019 top here, but I mean, you can see pretty clearly like Bitcoin moved sideways, and during that time, Nvidia has been moving up aggressively, and then kind of towards the end, when Nvidia's like almost, already like halfway through its move or more, then Bitcoin begins to outperform, kind of like for the tail end. And it seems to be doing, like the same thing again here, where Bitcoin, in my opinion, this is still like we've just kind of broken out, right? But we haven't started like a new, like a true parabola yet. But I would say Bitcoin has broken out. But during this time, it's important to note that Nvidia once again has been moving like straight up in a straight line, right? So I think looking at this, I don't see why, we wouldn't see another one of these parabolas for Bitcoin denominated in Nvidia, where towards the tail end of like an economic cycle, you see stocks and Nvidia and tech companies doing really, really well. And then at the very end, you'll watch for the Bitcoin Nvidia pair to spike, and kind of just do what it's been doing for the past decade. So that's very, very interesting. One thing I tweeted this yesterday is that this is total three up top, and then this is Bitcoin down below. We're seeing a very similar market structure, as we did last cycle, where total three is in deep value. It's underneath its previous bull market complacency shoulder. And then we kind of do these like one, two little like consolidation markups. At that same time, Bitcoin dominance is grinding higher, puts in a final deviation, and then finally capitulates. That capitulation ends up causing, alt season, the green box. So I think we just put in our deviation right here for Bitcoin dominance after grinding up aggressively, just like we did last cycle. Again, the price action looks really similar. So I think once we get above this complacency shoulder for total three, which is like 850 billion, look for Bitcoin dominance to drop. Bitcoin USD moves up and total three moves up aggressively. So, anyways, wow, that was a lot. I tried to squeeze in as much as I possibly can. That's it for today, guys. Please like and subscribe before you go. Last but not least, check out the first link in the description below where you can sign up for our Discord. And within the next 30 days, you will get free access included in your membership to the BB terminal. It's basically a Bloomberg terminal, but for crypto guys. It's absolutely awesome. It's got portfolio tracking, spaghetti charts, news, derivatives information, heat maps, literally everything that you could need, again, included in your membership. In our current Discord, we do over 2 hours a day of private live voice calls with Q&A with me and the rest of the Because Bitcoin team. We share active positions and analysis / setups that we don't talk about here on YouTube or on X. So definitely consider signing up. It's great value. Second link in the description below is to BB Academy. We worked on this for 6 months. If you want to take your trading to the next level, expedite your journey in learning TA and FA, me and the Because Bitcoin team put all of our strategies together. We can save you months, if not quarters, if not years of time learning the wrong information. And again, it's all bundled conveniently in a nice package on our website. It's the second link in the description below. Again, it is a great value right now. We are going to be increasing the price soon, so definitely consider checking that out if you want to master the arts of TA and FA and learn how me and the rest of the Because Bitcoin team navigate these markets. We share all of our strategies. So guys, thanks so much for being here. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Take care.